To Saram unitum of true God of representative of earth of project of heaven and gods. Paper assistant Mitsuki is called Beyond Capitalism to Democracy Economy is, I am writing easy to understand in paper of 5 based on Prout theory down to P.R. Sarkar. To proceed on basis of this Mitsuki of paper is way to further enrich life humanity. Democracy economy what way more than capitalist economy, Part 2, I am the source of creation. Thesis of this Mitsuki is superficial contradiction and essence contradictions of capitalism. This view is important. Along surface contradiction society movement will occur. Essence contradiction is resolved by share of means of production. This identification is required in order to solve social problems. Description of Mitsuki has mentioned from point of view of philosophy to this point. This should be shared by all humanity. Democracy economy what way more than capitalist economy, Part 2, A. Yasuhiro Nakasone in recent newspaper as Greedy Capitalism of Collapse commenting article that discussed I saw. He is. Capitalism more on greedy go to things and aside is that you have played important role. This is good to whether remains of capitalist economic system, regardless of position, becoming common question certain age I think is facing. So for capitalism I would like to say my opinion. B. I. Pamphlet that development of socialism from utopia to science of Engels that there is value to deepen philosophical contradictions of chapter 3 of capitalism, which is predicated on though. It has been mentioned 3 contradictions of capitalism. 1. Occupation of socialized production and capitalist mismatch, incompatibility of socialized production with capitalistic appropriation. 2. Contradiction between socialized production and capitalist occupied, proletariat and bourgeoisie itself G has been represented as confrontation. Contradiction between socialized production and capitalistic appropriation is manifested itself as antagonism of proletariat and bourgeoisie. 3. Contradiction between occupation of socialized production and capitalist, of individual organization of production in workplace as confrontation between anarchy of production in society as whole has to express themselves. Contradiction between socialized production and capitalistic appropriation now presents itself as an antagonism between organization of production in individual workshop and anarchy of production in society generally. For this 3 I think that discussed in order of 1, 2, 3, First of all, I would like to explain relationship between the 3 of contradiction. First of contradiction that socialization and capitalists of occupation and mismatch of production is unique essentially consistent with economic system of capitalism is basic contradiction with up to death from birth of capitalist economy. Basic contradiction of 1. Was manifested is phenomenon contradiction of 2. And 3. With expansion of capitalism as appear slide into change and we need to capture think. 2. And 3. Mention of Marx and Engels of course, is different from modern capitalism does not apply directly to current. Therefore, 2. As phenomenon contradiction proletariat and confrontation of bourgeoisie, but as class conflict with that is working class and capitalist class. This is era of industrial capitalism in time of Marx and Engels expressed form of I think. Form of expression is important to see slide into change. C. Basic contradiction of capitalist economy. 1. Although production has been socialized, capitalist occupies means of production, with decision of economic management pointed out that it is non-democratic autocratic rule system you have. Therefore, small number of executives, or to determine dismissal of workers, including his own salary you or can determine all. In addition to convenience, it is good to their wealthy sponsored public money of their own companies and moved politicians as political donations. So at time of Marx and Engels as class conflict of capitalists and workers, it is why conflict has been expressed. Monopoly capitalism and imperialism become era when wealth is concentrated in financial capitalists and large business executives. It will be also manifest as contradiction of small and medium-sized companies and client state of capitalists. Furthermore, today, huge companies, and contradiction of regional companies such as multinational companies, contradiction of its corporate activities with residents of living environment and global environment, national budget and military industry, and for between people in need of healthcare and education and welfare of contradiction as such. I think that manifestation. In addition, even in internal organization of large companies, conflict between regular employees and executives as well as being potentially become wrinkled to people of weak circumstances, such as temporary workers. It is becoming manifest as fight multiplied by life of temporary workers. Marx was phenomenon contradiction that conflict at time of workers and capitalists in background all nations of workers, united case, said he. However, now, I think that it is stupid after flown same slogan. Phenomenon form is because has changed in various ways. According to Weekly Asahi, Mr. Shiai of Japanese Communist Party to answer questions of words of unites proletariat of international is okay? Reply of Mr. Shiai was under banner of international solidarity, anti-capitalist and anti-imperialist. Then more extensive banner is important that can bring together people of that said, I think it's appropriate. Class conflict between workers and capitalists, I think that is also included now. Labor's side, such as restructuring of capitalist side is struggle because there is side that does not force to bear. However, we are at root of their problem in hand. Huge amount of money behind politicians are holding decision of social management on fact of small number of huge corporate executives, financial power of military industry executives. There is need to see that there will them into hand concentrated wealth as conflict between general public. I think that we should look at phenomenon form of basic contradiction of capitalism. World's wealth is in order to have focused on part that is stuck money circulation between masses. We believe that there is essence of today's crisis situation. Bankrupt Lehman Brothers, Inca Faldo's annual income of executives here 7 years. Average annual income is approximately 7 billion yen. According to place where Yuzui's was investigated in 2006 of Lockheed annual income 2.5 billion yen of executives. Average annual income 1.0 billion yen of executives of military industry 30 companies. It against Iraq. In Afghanistan of front is annual income of soldiers are fighting 2.7 million yen. It is so. Capitalism is non-democratic economic system where wealth is concentrated in small number who have authority to make decisions. In middle there is root cause of economic hardship. Text of Soviet type Marxism, also Marx interpretation to inherit it. Contradictions of capitalism as class conflict between workers and capitalists think that had grasped that was trivialized. Today, because Marx's revaluation has occurred, I would like to point out this point.